Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Martello. We're going to continue working in section 7.5. Now we're going to bring together what we did in 7.4 with 7.5. So we're going to solve using factoring and the zero product property. So our expressions are going to look like this: x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we're going to solve for x. So remember, when we solve for x, we're going to find the solutions, and the solutions are also called the roots. So our first step is we need to make sure the equation is equal to 0. It has to be equal to 0 so I can use the zero product property. Next up, I need it to be a product of factors. So this is not a product of factors. This is a trinomial or a polynomial expression. I need to factor it so it looks like one polynomial times another polynomial equals 0. So I'm going to factor it just like how I was doing in the beginning of 7.5. Then I'm going to solve it. I'm going to set each factor equal to 0. So this factor gets set equal to 0, and this factor gets set equal to 0, and I'm going to solve. Okay, let's try two of these problems, and I'm getting these from the 7.5 exercises. I am on page 389 in case if you want to pull this up. I'm going to look at numbers 31 and 33. We're going to do them together. So for number 31, I already have the equation written down. It's x squared plus 5x minus 14 equals 0. So first, it's equal to 0, which is a good thing. My second step is I need to factor. Remember, this is the x squared term, this is the bx term, this is the c term. We're going to make our table. So we're going to have a product of x squared. We're going to have a product of negative 14, and we're going to have a sum of 5x. For my first product, x squared, I know it has to be x times x. Now let's think about our second product of negative 14. If I know it's going to be a negative number, that means I need one negative number. How can I get 14? Well, I can try 1 and 14, but that's not going to work. The other combination is 2 and 7. So which one needs to be negative to get a positive 5? We're going to have negative 2 and positive 7. My outers would be 7x. My inners would be negative 2x. And that does give me 5x. Okay, let's write in our parentheses. This is going to be x minus 2 times x plus 7. And don't forget, equals 0. So now it's factored. We're going to set each factor equal to 0. So our first factor is x minus 2 equals 0. Or our second factor, x plus 7 equals 0. Let's solve each one. We're going to add 2 to both sides. I get x equals 2. That's my first answer. Or I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. I get x equals negative 7. That would be my second answer. Okay, I can always check my answer by taking these numbers and plugging that back into the original equation, and it should end up giving us 0. Let's do a check mentally. If I plug in 2, 2 squared is 4, 5 times 2 is 10, 4 plus 10 is 14, minus 14 equals 0, so that one works. Let's plug in negative 7. Negative 7 squared is positive 49, minus, this would be 5, and negative 7 would be minus 35, and minus 14, that would also give us 0. So I know these two are both the answer. Okay, let's try number 33. In number 33, what we should notice first here is that the equation is not equal to 0. I need it to be equal to 0 in order to use this method of solving. So let's add 36 to both sides. Our equation now will be t squared plus 15t plus 36 equals 0. Remember, this is not like terms with anything on this side because it doesn't have a t, and these both have t's. All right, now our equation is equal to 0. Let's factor. So we're going to make our product sum table. We have a product of t squared. We have a product of 36. and we have a sum of 15t. Let's find our numbers. T times t gives me t squared. Let's figure out how to get 36. I could do 1 and 36, 2 and 18. No, that doesn't give me a sum of 15. How about 3? 3 and 12. 3 times 12 is 36, and they add up to 15. So our outers would be 12t, and our inners would be 3t, and that does give me 15t. So let's factor. This is going to be t plus 3 times t plus 12, don't forget, equals 0. Okay, we're ready to solve. Let's set each factor equal to 0. T plus 3 equals 0. Or our second factor, t plus 12 equals 0. We're going to solve each one. Subtract 3 from both sides. T equals -3. Subtract 12 from both sides. T equals -12. And I found my two answers. So this is solving by factoring and using the zero product property.